And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for September 9th, 2019 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press the record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Red crosses, pink ribbons, and monogrammed belt buckles. Things you wear that say something about you. But I know one that shouts smart, financially savvy, and life-loving. When we come back, I'll get out the megaphone. O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, earn double points during Old Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Fashion designers say belts are back. But this belt's so stylish, you'll wear it all during your 4th of July vacation. Yes, wearing a seat belt tells everyone you're smart. Avoid ticketing because law enforcement's definitely watching. Financially savvy. Increasing belt usage to 90% will save taxpayers, that's you, $8.8 billion annually, and life-loving. That's a no-brainer. Buckling up saves lives. So celebrate your independence. Arrive alive this holiday and in style by buckling up. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Cucumbers, jazz, Gwyneth Paltrow, and khakis. Speaking of cool things, how's your vehicle's cooling system stacking up for the summer? Don't sweat it. When I come back, I'll tell you how to chill out.
O'Reilly
Improve visibility and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, earn double points during Old Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's hot and you're working hard. You can't go another foot till you cool off. Aha! Now you know how your car feels. In fact, overheating's the #1 cause of breakdowns. Like our bodies have a cooling system, cars do too. They rely on radiators to keep their engines from boiling over. To properly cool, these systems must be maintained with correct proportions and levels of coolant-water mixture. So this summer, think cool, calm, and collect the money saved by Radiator Check. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. On her way to Oz, Dorothy feared lions and tigers and bears. Oh no! But they're child's play compared to critters who might homestead in your car. Oh yes! When I come back, I'll name names.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, earn double points during Old Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You think Noah had it rough managing all those beasts? At least he had an ark, but some of them might hole up in your car. According to Pennzoil's survey of 16,000 auto technicians, culprits for some repairs were furry, feathery, or scaly, like chickens trapped in air filters, squirrel nests in the AC, snakes wrapped around brake rotors, and rats storing dog food in exhaust pipes. But wait, don't call the Pied Piper. Have your vehicle checked out regularly by a qualified technician. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Let's see, 8 a.m. business meeting. 3 o'clock dentist appointment, and 5:30 traffic jam. 5:30 traffic jam? Have a better way in mind to spend that time? When I come back, I'll tell you how to steer clear.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, earn double points during Old Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
To foretell traffic jams, you could use tea leaves, fortune tellers, crystal balls, or technology. Engineers from Siemens Automotive in Michigan have designed a state-of-the-art traveler information system called Quick Scout. This electronic genie uses cellular communications to access real-time information about traffic conditions along specific routes. The system also provides internet access so your passengers can check stocks or send emails en route. Thanks to American ingenuity, now there's a better use for your tea leaves and your time. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Finally, vacation, and you're beach bound. But if that whining isn't coming from kids in the back seat, your holiday may be spent short of the shore. When I come back, I'll tell you why.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, earn double points during Old Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Nobody likes whining, but coming from your power steering, it's more than a source of irritation. It could derail your vacation. Here's why. To guide wheels, power steering uses hydraulic pressure, created by fluid pumped into the gearbox. If fluid levels fall, air is sucked into the system. Result? Foamy power steering fluid that first whines, especially on turns, and then doesn't allow turns at all. So to ensure your last resort is one with palm trees, not repair bays, maintain power steering fluid levels. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Sit back and ride along with me this hour, and we'll talk cars, of course, as we have for many years here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I see that we already have a call in the queue, James from Missouri, and after the break, we'll come back and we'll take James' calls first. And your calls coming up. Hannah will take your call at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. Please get in earlier today. It seems that historically, toward the end of the show, somebody says, gosh, I have a question. And invariably, folks, we get so many calls that I can't get to, and then I get rushed. And I really want to have the time to share with you the information that you need so you'll be able to better communicate with your local service shop. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you this morning by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Be sure to prepare for any upcoming road trips, and before you travel, you want to stop by your O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply think about preventive maintenance before you go, which ensures a safer journey when you hit the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better parts, better prices every day. We know because we have an O'Reilly Parts store. Well, if I could throw a football, about a football field down the way here. But unfortunately, I cannot throw a ball, but I can answer a car question, and I will when I come back for sure. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn earrings today.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Michaela's got like the best earrings.
Sarah, buckle up.
I wish my name was Michaela.
We're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
It can be tough getting through to kids, but it's your job to make sure they're wearing your seatbelts. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or high-energy solvent technology. Using a combination of stronger solvents, HEST technology helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers. But don't take our word for it. Paul S. had a hot start problem on an 86 Mercure. The injectors were leaking fuel, which flooded the motor. Instead of replacing parts, Paul tried Berryman B12 Chem Tool. After just 2 cans, the car performed better, mileage improved, and the hot start problem went away. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com. In the service bay this week, a 2000 Ford Taurus. The customer had brought the vehicle in because it rode rough and handled poorly. Not uncommon for older cars with 85,000 miles. It was also making a lot of noise over slight bumps. After checking the vehicle out thoroughly, our diagnosis was that both front struts had gone bad. They were bouncy, and the bushings were worn and loose. The solution? A set of Motorcraft loaded struts to help restore original ride and feel. And because Motorcraft offers a preloaded strut assembly, the customer saves money on labor, and the shop can move on quickly to the next vehicle. Not to mention not fighting with rust and typical disassembly issues associated with all older type vehicles. After installing the new Motorcraft assemblies, the ride and handling was restored to the condition that the owner remembered. Motorcraft parts are specifically designed for all your Ford and Lincoln repairs. Motorcraft, right part, priced right. Learn more about Motorcraft loaded struts and other high-quality vehicle-specific parts at motorcraft.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Folks, even after 28 years hosting Bobby Likis Car Clinic, I'm always excited when we hear that we're aired in new communities. And I'd like to welcome our newest affiliate to Bobby Likis Car Clinic show, 93.9 FM KPAY Chico, the North Valley's news station in California. You know, our affiliates, folks, are family to us, so I want to give a shout-out to KPAY General Manager Dino Corbin and Program Director Scott Michaels. Again, 93.9 FM KPAY Chico, the North Valley's news station. Actually, it's the North Valley's news talk station and Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So if you're awake and ready to talk cars in Chico, we are ready to take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. But first, James in Missouri, you called in first, or you're first up. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. How you doing this morning?
Very good, Bobby. How are you this morning?
Well, just terrific. Actually, we lost power at our home about 2 o'clock in the morning. And so when I left this morning, I had to disconnect the garage door manually and then put my car out, put my wife's car out, because otherwise, when she came out and pushes the button, nothing's going to happen, you know. So anyway,
good thing for the manual part, then, isn't it?
Yeah, really, it's like really electronics. What happens? You know, it's like your car, and I don't know, James, what you drive. Well, you drive a '94 Dodge Ram, so that's sort of an old school. But in the cars today that have the automatic openers and the smart keys, there's always, and for you folks that don't think about this, there is a manual key in the key fob. That's a little, slender key blank that you, if you'll look, and you should learn this, on the driver's door handle, underneath the handle or somewhere in that vicinity, there's one little, and you can't see it because it's designed for emergency use only, so you can manually unlock the door. Now, I don't know what that would do if you had a dead battery, because the car's not going to crank anyway, but at least you can get in the car so you can open the hood so you can hook up a battery, or you can call a wrecker or whatever. But anyway, just very interesting how things change and things still stay the same. What can it do for you this morning, James?
Well, I did not know that, Bobby. So when I get rich and buy a new car, now I know what to do. That's why I listen to you every week. I learned something new.
Well, and to that end, talking about new cars, I won't bore you with them right now, but I have the gear ratios for the 2020 mid-engine Corvette that are really quite phenomenal. And during the show sometime today, I'll share that with everyone. So stay tuned. But in the meantime, let's talk about your Dodge Ram.
Okay. I'm in the middle of replacing the water pump, but I would like to start with a problem. It's always had a problem getting the dipstick into the dipstick tube. And if you turn it at 180 degrees, it's easier to get in, and it's always been very difficult.
Right.
And I'm 60 years old, and I have never had this happen before, but about an inch of the tip of the dipstick broke off inside the dipstick tube.
Yeah.
And I put a magnet down there, couldn't get it out, so I couldn't push the dipstick tube to push it through. So I cut the dipstick tube. Oh, I tried to get the dipstick tube out of the engine block, of course.
Yeah,
first.
sure, yeah.
I do believe it's a press fit, and I could not get that thing out of there for nothing. So
yes,
I cut the dipstick tube off about 4 inches above the block with my Dremel tool.
Mm-hmm.
Drove a rod that I found out of an old lawn chair that just fit perfectly into there, and drove that piece into the oil pan. And I'm going to reconnect the dipstick tube with some fuel line and do a good job in some Permatex red.
Mm-hmm.
My question is on that. I've talked to some people who race sprint cars and stuff, and they said they wouldn't worry about that piece being down. It'd probably just sit in the bottom of the oil pan, and it may come up when I change the oil and maybe get a magnetic drain plug. I was wondering what you thought about that. I kind of think it'll be okay and just sit down there. And your thoughts, please.
I agree. That if it's an inch or so, let's face it, it will stay on the bottom of the pan. I agree with the magnetic, and in fact, you literally could use the same. Here's a better way. You could use the same oil plug that's in the pan. Versus trying to find a magnetic, because I'm not sure you can find one that would fit your car, yada, yada, yada. So just find a round magnet and put the magnet on the bottom of the oil pan on the outside.
There you go.
And
on the outside.
mean, I just thought about that, and that'll make it easier. And so obviously, where I would put the magnet, you know what would be kind of neat. It depends on. Most oil pans have the female thread socket that extends into the oil pan so that the outside exterior of the oil pan surface is flush. So I don't know if you could reach in there with anything and pull that piece out. So I wouldn't even worry about it. What I would do is and I'm thinking about a round magnet out of whatever you find, whatever you can find, but find the nice size one, say 1.5 inches or 2 inches, and just put it on the bottom of the oil pan toward the back of the pan, and then sooner or later, the piece is going to be attracted to that, and it's going to just stay there as long as that piece is on the outside. And furthermore, the magnet's going to stay on the pan, so you don't have to worry about it falling off either. Now,
could you put that on? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I disagree with your tack or your plan about the dipstick tube. And here's what I would say to that. What I would do now that you've got it. Can you really? You can reach where the tube is, right?
Yes. What made it easier is it broke off when I was doing the water pump. So I have the water pump off, the alternator, the air compressor.
Okay.
I mean the compressor for the AC and all that. So it's really easy to get to.
All right. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to find a punch, a drift, not a punch, but a drift. You know what a drift is? It's a tool that maybe has a shank. So in other words, I want you to find a steel rod that will fit inside the dipstick tube.
Yes, I have that.
Then I want you to just knock it in there, or maybe it's a little bit sloppy, but maybe it'll fit tightly. And then you just place it in the end of the tube, and then you put a pair of vice grips, and you very firmly vice grip the tube. And now you've got got the tube that didn't collapse under the vice grips because you've got a steel rod inside, and then you take a hammer to the bottom of the vice grips and you tap it out.
Right.
You got me?
Right. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Then
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
On engine cases and motorcycles, when the pins that align the cases, when we try to get those out, I stick a tapered punch in there. And
there you
do
go.
The same thing.
Exactly. Exactly. And so what that will do is that will give the vice grips, of course, a solid pipe that, for all intents and purposes, is no longer a tube. It's a pipe now that's solid,
right.
or a stick of steel. And then you grip that with the vice grips. And let's face it, if the vice grips start to slide up, just get a tighter bite on, a little bit lower, and then tap straight up. And by having a metal against metal, using a steel hammer, you can use a ball peen, and you can tap up. You can literally tap the old dipstick out because it's only pressed in about an inch deep. And then you go get a new one, and you clean the hole up, and you put a little, the same, whatever sealer, just for grins, There used to be a sealer that's the brown. You remember years ago that we used in oil for gaskets? We don't use it any longer, but it would work well. It's a brown, and I can't think of the name of the product, but it's kind of a chocolate-looking gooey stuff, and it's a liquid, and you just put a coat of that on the dipstick, and then you drive the dipstick in. You'll have to be careful not to damage the lip, with the bottom of the dipstick, because it'll have a lip where it goes down and mates against the block. That should be a great fix for you.
All right, I will try that. That is a great idea, and I didn't even think about that, but that's a good idea.
I'm glad you called. And when you get to the other side and you get the new dipstick in, give me a shout back and let me know how it works, okay?
Okay, and can we go? Yes, I will. Can we talk about the water pump for a second?
Well, we had a hard break coming up, so we won't have time to get that in. But if you'd like to hold through the break, then by all means, just stay tuned and stay right there. And then when we come back from the break, we'll pick up where we left off. And then I see that Beth is calling in, and she's got something about a big car, a general opinion of a big car. I'm interested in that as well. And again, for you folks at 93.9 FM KPAY Chico, the North Valley's news talk station, give me a call at 888-CAR-CLINIC. I'm Bobby Likis. Don't go away. I'll be right back. If you want the best performing battery, then an Optimal battery is a perfect choice for you. Featuring spiral cell and pure flow technology, Optima batteries are up to 15 times more vibration resistant and will last up to 3 times as long as a traditional flooded battery. How? The purity of materials, immobilized plates, and cast-on strap help enable longer life and better performance. Optima batteries, the ultimate power source. Find your next battery at OptimaBatteries.com. That's OptimaBatteries.com. Talking tunes, not the ones on your radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer, giving you more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. Diablo Sport tuners and Reaper Stage 1 kits provide an air-fuel mixture that's already engineered for the particular setup you're running to electronically compensate for the intake and the exhaust on your vehicle. Whether it's the Predator, the Intune i3, or the Trinity 2, you can find the perfect tune at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com. This car repair spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, this week an 04 Chevy Avalanche with 196,000 miles came in the shop with a noisy front wheel and ABS light on. Our service team determined the truck had a bad front wheel bearing. Not sure about the ABS issue. We called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional who recommended a Precision brand hub assembly. The Precision hub came with new bearings, new seals, new wheel studs, and an ABS sensor built in. Perhaps the new hub with its built-in ABS sensor might also fix the ABS. We called the owner to explain the process and give a cost estimate. Replace the hub, clear all codes, and retest the vehicle. What a relief after repair as both the noise and ABS issue were repaired. Given the cost of repair, whenever we can fix 2 problems with 1 part, makes our customers really happy and our team heroes. That's why we make O'Reilly Auto Parts our first call. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to today's broadcast. Remember, folks, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you live. Actually, it's really interesting. I'm sitting in at a desk inside a studio, and the studio was manufactured to our specifications by Acoustic Systems in Austin, Texas, and the floor weighs about 10,000 pounds. It's really way cool. It's a digital studio. We also televise every radio broadcast every Saturday, and you can go to Watch Bobby Live. That's watchbobbylive.com and tune in. And there's a chat room there, and you can ask a question through the chat room. So if we're not in your local area, or if you're out of town this weekend and want to tune in, or you have friends in China, or it doesn't matter, around the globe, we're available between 10 and noon Eastern Time. And also you can go to Watch Bobby Live, and from time to time, we have guests in the house or guests calling in. And today, Dan Nowlin is going to be calling. He's a Berryman chemist. And I have some questions for the chemist. I promise not to embarrass him. Well, I don't know. He's not on the line yet, so we'll see how I do there. But the bottom line is we'll get some interesting information about the chemistry and about GDI engines, gasoline direct injection engines. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part today by Clarius, the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries, which are built to power start-stop technology, backup cameras, entertainment systems, and all the other electrical demands of vehicles that today must have a quality battery. Everything, no pun intended, starts at the battery. You can learn more at autobatteries.com. Back to Missouri and then to Miss Beth, who is on hold, and your calls at 888-227-2546. So, James, we've got your problem squared away with the dipstick. Your second question, and then we'll move on from there. What can I do for you?
Okay, the water pump. Hey, by the way, during the commercial, I tried your idea, and it's already coming loose.
Don't you love it? I mean, there's just nothing like, that's what drives that being the success. When you have a problem that you say, my gosh, you sit back and scratch your head. I know that's got to come out, but right. Really, you got it now. So okay. Throw another one at me, and we'll see if I can help you there.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I worked at my dad's automatic transmission shop and rebuilt automatic transmissions after I had spent years learning how to tear them down. So this water pump is kind of easy, but I just don't know if there's anything that I don't know that you might know. I, of course, replaced the thermostat because it's easy to get to, and the hoses. My main question kind of is about the fan, but first, it's got a gasket that goes between the new water pump and the timing cover.
Mm-hmm.
Should I put Permatex red sealant on there, or just use the gasket?
Well, you can just use the gasket, but what you want to do is use emery cloth and clean it. Make sure that when you scrape the old gasket off, that you don't use, the old metal scrapers like we did with head gaskets.
Yeah.
You don't want to use that because the timing cover is aluminum, and so you're going to end up having a little like trying to clean yourself with a razor. Occasionally you nick your face, so you're going to nick the aluminum surface. So I don't like to use anything that's metal on aluminum because it's harder than the aluminum. And so you could use potentially a mini ice scraper that's made of plastic, or whatever tool you have to clean it. And then before you're finished, you want to use something like a brake clean or carburetor cleaner to make sure the surface is dry. Okay. And then and for those of you who are doing your own work that have parts like like say a Honda water pump that uses an O-ring seal. You want to make sure, and of course the O-ring is inside its own little trench, so it stays in position, and then the O-ring is exposed and it's pressed tightly. You want to use a little, you can use something so simple as transmission assembly lube, and James, you're familiar with that. The red, the Valvoline makes a good product like that, or any universal. Now, but you don't need to use anything other than that. With the gasket, you could use, it depends on the surfaces. If the surface of the block is nice and clean and has no irregularities and no corrosion, then the dry gasket will work. Just make sure that you start all the bolts and you finger tight all the bolts, and you go in and wrist tight all the bolts uniformly. You don't go to one side of the water pump and tighten that bolt down because you'll end up warping. You see where I'm going there. Like when you used to build transmissions, when you put the valve body back onto the transmission, you carefully placed it and you just gently snugged it, and once it's all in place, then you could torque the bolts from the interior out. So just think of a head gasket or a transmission valve body reassembly, like you're familiar with that, and use that same ethic and that same methodology, and you won't have any problems. Now, here's one more thing and before I let you go, make sure that you put a 50-50 new coolant in that engine before you start the engine, because the water pump has a seal, and a lot of people will put the water pump on and they'll crank the engine and start pouring water. Well, you want to make sure or just start pouring coolant. You want to make sure the coolant is there first, because the coolant is a sealer in and of itself. It's a lubricant for the water pump seal, and I have seen people put new water pumps on or rebuilt, well, new ones we use, and then they damage the seal because they fire it up and then they start pouring the coolant in. You can't do that. You know, you have to pour the coolant in and get as much air out as possible, and then you can be assured that you've done everything the right way. You got it?
Yes.
Good. Great.
Hey, man, thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. You know, can I just call you Dipstick?
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
All right, James. Good luck. Thanks for calling.
All right, brother. Have a great day.
You
Thank
as well. We always love to hear from Missouri. K-R-E-Y. K-R-E-I. I'll get some feedback from there. So let me tell you a quick story. Then we're going to go to Beth. Then I'll take your calls. So years ago, and the management at KREI may not agree with this because the management's probably changed over the years. But years ago, they had another car talk show. And so the guys in the control room, Fabio, this is interesting because KREI is in Missouri, and years ago, the technicians would listen to my program in the background, but they had a contract and had another car talk program on there, but they listened to our program. And so one day they called and they said, well, we've got about 2 months left on this contract for this other car show, but we want to transfer over the years. And so that was very interesting. The engineers, whoever ran the board on Saturday, actually were responsible, whereas normally, like in the KPAY in Chico, you know, the program director there, the general manager is Dino Corbin, but program director is Scott Michaels. Somebody makes that decision to air our program, and when you've already got a program, because no radio station, folks, has dead air. So it's not like we go in and fill dead air. We go in and bump someone off the program. And that's how syndication works. Just a little FYI. Let's go to Beth. Beth, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning.
Morning. Bobby, can you hear me?
I surely can.
Okay, great. I wanted to ask you your opinion, please, about a Chrysler Crossfire. Thinking about an older one here, a 2005 or a 6. What's your opinion on this car?
Well, I want to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. Number one, I forbid you to buy that car.
Okay.
And here's why. In that particular car, that I really liked that car. I thought it was really neat and still do. And the 07 is the one that had the wing, and it would be my choice if I were to decide that I wanted to buy one. Here's a problem: service, parts, and technical issues. That's when Chrysler and was purchased, as you know, by Daimler-Benz. So
that's right.
60% of the Crossfire is Mercedes-Benz, and the other 40% is Chrysler. So Mercedes-Benz companies and dealerships refuse to work on the Crossfire, and Chrysler dealerships refuse to work on the Crossfire. So you're relegated to go to the Bobby Likises of the world with an independent service shop and have that car worked on. The problem is when there's a computer issue or some parts issue, there's no support or very little support in the aftermarket, versus like a used Ford or Chevrolet or a Mercedes or a Chrysler or you name it, Toyota. So, Miss Beth, if I could influence you, I would influence you to consider buying a used Toyota product, because Toyota products are actually, they make, I don't drive one, I never have, but they make the best used cars purchases, because they just run, and when you take them into a shop, they're easy to fix, and you can find any part anytime, including the electronics. So it's my concern that you would buy this nice looking car, and then the first time you took it to the shop, 3 weeks later, they'd still be scratching their head trying to find out how to get an electronic body control module. Even and specifically, the automatic transmission uses a bulkhead connector, which is just a bunch of wires that plug in. It's kind of like the Army and the military. They rather than to have 2 prongs, they put in like 20 prongs or 15 prongs, and they go in, and there's a tiny bolt that secures. Number one, that area is prone to leak on the transmission, and when you try to, then this happened in my shop. You loosen the bolt that holds this wiring connector at the transmission, and then the bolt twists because the nut inside is captured by plastic and it damages the valve body. And I had that problem. So in closing, because we have a hard break, and also now we have Dan Nowlin from Berryman coming up. But in closing, I'll just say that there are better choices than the Crossfire. I would not recommend to use Crossfire to anyone. And with that, folks, that's the end of the second segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're going to talk with Dan Nowlin from Berryman when I come back, and your calls at 888-227-2546. Don't go away. A 2015 Ford Escape recently came into the shop, 120,000 miles and going strong, but it was starting to hesitate, and the customer also complained of declining fuel economy. This 2-liter turbocharged engine is GDI, or gas direct injection, and special maintenance is needed in certain areas, particularly the fuel system. We suspected carbon buildup, and sure enough, using a borescope through the spark plug hole, there was definite evidence of carbon buildup. GDI engines are different in the way they inject fuel, and it can create some issues with repair and maintenance. That's why it's important to use products rated for GDI, like Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kit. Each step of the process is designed with GDI engines in mind. We use the kit, and after 2 weeks on the road, the car is performing noticeably better, and MPG has improved a bit. Learn more about Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kit and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great program today. I'll take your questions at 888 Car Clinic. Meanwhile, on the Car Clinic hotline with us now is Dan Nowlin, Laboratory Manager and Product Development Chemist
for Berryman products. Folks, you've heard me talk about Berryman products. Well, the man is in the house. Dan, a big welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Thank you.
Share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers the difference between GDI, or gasoline direct injection fuel systems, versus port injection systems.
So the difference has to do with the placement of the actual fuel injectors. In port fuel injection and throttle body injection, the fuel injectors are placed upstream from the intake valves, either inside the intake ports or at the throttle body. Both configurations allow the fuel spray to clean the intake valves. With GDI, or gasoline direct injection, the fuel injectors are actually inside the combustion chamber. That means that the intake valves are never washed by the fuel. This configuration is more fuel efficient, but the trade-off results in the accumulation of carbon and oil vapor on the back of the intake valves, which that can lead to hard starting, rough idle, hesitation, and poor fuel economy.
Point well taken. So, to that end, Dan, what's the best way to maintain the GDI fuel systems, and can you use the same methods that you would to maintain a fuel port injection system?
Yes and no. So both types of engines use essentially the same type of air intake system. So your mass airflow sensors and throttle bodies, for instance, really haven't changed that much. However, with GDI fuel injectors being inside the combustion chamber, there's only two real options for cleaning the intake valves, either disassembling the top of the engine or introducing a cleaner into the airstream.
Got it. And again, that's it's a topic that is becoming more and more of an issue within automotive service shops. We see that every day. I personally drive a GDI engine, and it's a concern that I have have had from day one. I know that Berryman also offers a portion of their 4-step professional air and fuel system maintenance kit, the intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner. Why and how would someone want to isolate those areas?
So some GDI vehicles have buildup on these intake valves that occurs surprisingly fast, sometimes within 12 to 15,000 miles of driving a car off the lot. In cases such as those, you might not need all the steps in the 4-step kit, but you might need to really address dirty intake valves or carbon buildup in the combustion chambers.
I got it. So that standalone product actually cleans more than just the intake valves, right?
Yeah, so it cleans the intake valves, but it also dissolves carbon inside the combustion chamber. And, of course, the carbon buildup can lead to hot spots in the combustion chamber, which leads to spark knock or ping and can lead to more serious things like detonation and seriously damage the engine.
Wow. Well, one of the biggest challenges, of course, is how to apply and how to get down. And you mentioned initially about taking the engine apart. And in the service industry, of which I've been for 48 years, it's not only a hard sell, but I'm hesitant, and my team is hesitant to ask a car owner or tear the engine apart and brush its teeth like with a steel toothbrush and the valves, because that's really what physically the only way you can get that valve as clean as it was new. And you mentioned 15,000 miles. That's early on. So folks, while GDI systems are more efficient, they also have created some problems in what Dan and I are speaking to today. Let's talk about the Berryman 4-step professional air and fuel system maintenance kit and the intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner.
So that product we spent over a year developing, not only the chemistry to do the cleaning itself, but the delivery system as well. There's no other kit that has universal application accessories included with it that let you go in through the air intake or by way of manifold vacuum induction, like through the PCV valve or the brake booster.
Got it. Folks, many vehicles today run at high mileage. 75,000 miles is a given. I get calls here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic with folks that have 175,000 miles. But what sort of additives and chemicals are available that would help them go even further and make a vehicle high mileage more efficient?
So we have a couple of different types of products. We have our Rejuvenator line, which is a a fuel system rejuvenator and an oil system rejuvenator specifically for high mileage. And then we have other products that are geared specifically toward extending the life of your in-service engine oil and oil change flush, which, of course, you use every time you are about to change the oil and filter.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the oil change flush, because as prevalent as oil changes, as easy as it is to get oil changes performed, the manufacturers say 7,000, then 10,000, then 12,000. In fact, the smart car, which has a 3.5 inch quart system, advertises 10,000 miles on an oil change. That's really not enough volume of oil to go 10,000 miles. I know for a fact that the smart cars in Europe have a gumming situation with oil. So the Berryman product, you mentioned it should be added. When would you add, so let's say I change my oil at 7,000 miles. I use synthetic oil and I have a V8 engine. When would I add the oil rejuvenator, and before the oil change, and how long would I run it?
So the oil rejuvenator is specifically designed for high mileage, and one of the primary concerns is leakage from the oil pan, valve cover gaskets, things like that. So the oil system rejuvenator is intended to go into the oil anytime after an oil change. So you can put it in immediately, you can put it in halfway through your cycle if you start to develop a leak. And the idea is that it conditions and the seals and the gaskets so that you stop leaking oil from, again, the oil pan or the valve covers.
So then the oil change flush, now, is that a different chemical from the oil rejuvenator?
So the oil change flush was developed for crankcase cleanliness just before you change the oil and filter. So ideally you would put it in immediately before you're going to start up the car to warm up the oil, circulate it through the system for 10 to 15 minutes, and really get all that gum and sludge dissolved, and then while the oil's still warm, you drain it out and replace the oil filter as well.
Well, I think that's a very good point. It's one of the issues that we see when we take an engine apart for, as you mentioned earlier, a valve cover or cam cover leak, and you'll take the cam cover off, and some engines with 150,000 miles, Dan, are absolutely beautiful, and then other engines look like they've never had the oil change. So is there a particular engine that the product can't be used, or should it be universal? In other words, I have a 60,000 mile 5-liter V8 that is a very powerful engine, and I use synthetic oil, and I'm religious. But anything that I can think of that I would add to it to make it last longer, I would do so. And so that was where the number 1216 product from Berryman, the oil change flush, that's where that would come in, correct?
Yeah, so the 1216 was designed to be robust enough to use with gas or diesel, with conventional oil, semi-synthetic or synthetic blend, full synthetic like you've got, and it can treat between 3 and 6 quarts of engine oil.
Well, that's all great information. There's always more information than what we have time to air. So where can our Car Clinic listeners and viewers go for more information and to get direct information that they can use about Berryman products?
All these products are listed on our website, which is www.berrymanproducts.com.
Terrific. A lot of information. What I would like to do is to invite you one day, should you ever be on Florida's beautiful Gulf Coast. We are headquartered in Pensacola, Florida. It would be neat for you to sit beside me in the studio here versus on the phone, and we would take questions from folks across the globe. So we'll leave the light on for you, and we'll have the mat out for you. Dan Nowlin, Laboratory Manager in Product Development and Chemist at Berryman Products, thank you so much for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, thank you.
I almost asked him a chemical question. I wanted to ask him, like, what's in that stuff? But, folks, I'm sure that Dan would have said, well, sorry, I can't tell you that. But Fabio, when you have someone on the air, like we just had Dan on the air, things run through my mind. And specifically, I work both sides of the street, or at least I walk both sides of the street with regard to additives.
And there's a gentleman that I met who's retired now that was with a large chemical company, and his favorite saying was pour and pray. He said, yeah, there are a lot of pour and prays on the market. And I said, well, what's a pour and pray? He said, well, that's where an owner or a DIYer, do-it-yourselfer, goes to a parts store and has a problem with his or her car, goes to the parts store and buys a product and pours it in the gas tank and prays that it's going to fix the problem. So, folks, just for you to know, and I'm a user of and have been for years of Berryman products. It's not a pour and pray, so it's, I'm not knocking the product. I'm just saying, when you have a hard issue with the car, please don't expect that you can add something to it that's going to fix the hard issue. By the same token, if you use the aftermarket chemistry that's available at the right time for the right application, there are great benefits, like the Berryman B12 Chem Tool, which is a fuel system cleaner. And you say, well, should I use a fuel system cleaner? Absolutely, but you should use it regularly versus when you have a problem. Unfortunately, unless you listen to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, you don't really know what regularly might be or even know about these products. And when you do, you go to a parts store, and then you look at the shelves, which are laden with chemistry from every manufacturer out there. And there are a lot of fuel system treatments, a lot of oil treatments, and what have you. But make no mistake about it, every time, and here's where the knowledge comes in, so I'll share this with you because it's important. Every time you change the oil in your engine, the longer that oil has been in the engine, which means the longer the interval between changes, the more contaminated the fresh batch of oil gets. So let's say we've got a brand new car. There's no contamination because it's crystal clean and pure and beautiful inside. And today's technology and the metallurgy and the machining processes, the factory fill of oil, whereas we used to change it years ago, like a reman engine, 500 miles or 1,000 miles, you're advised to go 7,500 miles with the original oil that comes in a new car. Well, there's a lot, and there's more finite particles of contamination in that engine because it's breaking in. But with today's technology, that break-in period is nothing like it was 20 years ago or 10 years ago. So you're not relegated, don't have to change the oil. However, if you would like to do that and you're of the mind to, 3,500 miles, you should wait and not change a new car's oil before 3,500 miles. Why? Mainly because if there happened to be some issue with the new car using oil, which we don't see these days, but it's possible, you don't want to put yourself in a position to where if the manufacturer says 7,500 and you go to your dealership and you've got 4,000 miles and you've already changed the oil and you've got an oil usage problem, then that dealer could say, well, you shouldn't have changed the oil. You're not supposed to change the oil. Therefore, you could have affected the new car. So you don't want to put yourself in that position. So it's better to go, at least, say, 5,000 miles. 3,500 minimum, 5,000 miles, somewhere in there on the first batch. But let's fast forward. So we go, let's say a Porsche, and they talk about 15,000 miles. Now you're way over the limit in my threshold, but you go 15,000 miles. So that has given that oil time to get dirty. And the oil has detergents, and that's what detergents do. They clean the engine so that when you drain the oil, the dirt comes out with the oil. But there are nooks and crannies and hydraulic lifters and cam followers and valleys and little puddling areas inside an engine where dirty oil stays. So when you drain the oil, you don't get it all out. In fact, on some cars, the manufacturer will tell you to leave the oil plug out for up to 5 to 10 minutes to drain as much as possible, but it doesn't matter because you still can't get all the old oil out, which contaminates the new oil. Well, not to a big point, because remember, you only had 15,000 or 10,000 miles or 5,000 miles. But if you go 5 oil changes down the road, but say it's a 15,000 mile, then 30, then 45, then 60. Now every time you change the oil, the accumulation is worsened because the engine is used, and every new batch of oil has been contaminated. Ergo, the new batch of oil doesn't have the life of this predecessor. So that's why oil flushes are important, and that's another application for the oil flush from Berryman, which is a great product. And I have a beautiful car with 65,000 miles that use synthetic oil, and I will be using the oil flush because I never want that engine to have any old contaminated oil that damages my fresh fill of oil. And with that, that's the end of the first hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Don't forget, another great hour coming up. Your calls after the top of the hour. I'll be back. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, you never want to get surprised by a dead battery. A vehicle's original battery generally lasts about 3 to 5 years, but many fail long before then. Next time you're in for an oil service, have the technician test your battery. Better now than too late. Today's vehicles have start-stop systems, navigation, radio amplifiers, electric fuel pumps, 25 or more onboard computer modules, and serious electronic controls that depend on a strong, fully charged battery. Make sure the car you're driving has a healthy battery. Make yourself a note. Go to autobatteries.com and see for yourself how a battery can keep you safely driving down the road or put you on the side, just like that. At autobatteries.com, you'll see battery technology, battery testing, how to choose the battery, how to jumpstart your battery, and more about AGM batteries, my choice. I'm not here to make you a battery expert, rather to help you better understand why a reliable battery is essential for your road trips. Go to autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join me. Ride along with me this hour, and we'll talk cars. I'll take your car questions and share with you information that you just really, I don't know where you could get the same information that we provide. I don't have all the answers, but with 48 years in the automotive service industry and some in automotive service shop, we operate along the Florida's Gulf Coast, and that's where our studio is located, a full service, bumper-to-bumper automotive service facility. So some 50, 60 hours a week we're in the trenches. So what I share with you on Saturday between 10 and noon Eastern Time on Bobby Likis Car Clinic Show is exactly what we have experienced during the week. So we've been there, done that. Don't know all the answers, but I can certainly help you better understand your vehicle so you can do what? So you can communicate on your local shop, whether it's a new car or independent, and better understand and what's wrong with your car and how to describe the problem, not fix it, but how to describe what it's doing that you don't like. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by K-Seal, a one-step pour-in solution designed to stop coolant leaks and help prevent future leaks. You can find K-Seal at fine part stores nationwide like Advanced Auto Parts. Don't just seal your cooling system, K-Seal it. I'm Bobby Likis, back, 888 Car Clinic with your calls when I come back. Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A, brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Why is the thermostat so important? Cooling system regulates engine temperature and helps prevent overheating. While it's comprised of several components, the thermostat plays a critical role with efficient cooling system operation. It must regulate coolant flow properly to maintain a specific engine operating temperature, in addition to providing quick warm-up. Motorrad's new stainless steel thermal element Ultrastat is unmatched for corrosion resistance. Its revolutionary Reax wax mixture provides quicker reaction time. The Ultrastat also features bilinear valve technology, which prevents thermal shock to cooling system components, gradually increasing coolant flow versus instant maximum flow found in traditional thermostats. The Ultrastat precisely controls engine temperature to ensure the lowest emission standards, maximum fuel efficiency, and terrific interior cabin comfort. The Motorrad Ultrastat line is the perfect thermostat upgrade option with coverage for over 160 million vehicles on the road today. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. We recently had an 09 Honda Pilot come into the shop with 169,000 miles on the odometer. The vehicle owner said the cabin was starting to smell like coolant, and he was concerned. Upon closer inspection, we found a heater core leak. Choices were to keep the vehicle and make a repair, which at best is half a day's labor plus parts, or sell the vehicle and buy a different used car that could have its own set of problems. We presented a third option, K-Seal. You've heard me talk about K-Seal before. Well, I don't just talk about it, we actually use the product in our service shop. It's a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Other sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Our customer went with K-Seal, and 1 month later, no more leak. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'll remind you, and I'll welcome those of you who are new to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, that every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we are available on your local AM and or FM station. And at this time, I want to welcome 93.9 FM KPAY Chico, the North Valley's news talk station, a special family, a special affiliate that has joined the Car Clinic family. KPAY General Manager Dino Corbin, a special shout out to you, sir. And Program Director Scott Michaels, thanks, guys. We appreciate you airing Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And folks, if you're tuned in to 93.9 FM KPAY Chico, now's the time for you to call in. We're live every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, and the number to call is 888 Car Clinic. So I'll make it easier for you. 888-227-2546. Meanwhile, I see that we have Liz on hold. Let's put Liz on the air. She has a question about a used car. Liz, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, Bobby. I have a question about an '06 Audi A4 1.8 turbo. Someone in the neighborhood has it for sale, and it has 93,000 miles on it. It has a new coil, new spark, ultra sensors, and electric sound. Now, these things don't mean very much to me. That's why I'm calling you. And I wondered if a car like this or any Audi is a good idea to buy.
I'm glad that you called me. I saw that you were in the queue as I was producing the open of the show, and I saw that there was an '06 Audi. Is it a good car to buy? And so I wrote down 5 things that I wanted to specifically share with you. And my first and get this, my first word was coils. Okay. My next one was spark plugs, because they're one and the same, and the coil is mounted on top of the plug, and that's a common failure. The next is oil leaks.
Ooh, okay.
And oil leaks can be severe and expensive to repair. And you must, if you bought this car, you must find a service shop that is familiar with that engine, because there are multiple areas that it can leak. And yet, if you looked at it on the rack or underneath, you'd say, oh, the oil pan is leaking. Well, that's where oil runs down. It doesn't run up. So any oil leaks, multiple leaks, if you have, that would appear to be fixed. You don't fix the bottom one first. So I'm telling you this because if you had a cam cover leaking, then you'd want to fix the cam cover, and then you could still say, oh, wait, my oil pan is still leaking. No, wait, clean the engine off. So you take it step by step. So what I'm trying to do is to hedge the bet for you so that you know how to talk with the service shop if you decide to buy this car. My next line item is the PCV system. And there are diaphragms and a PCV system. It used to be a little PCV valve that we could shake, and if it rattled, it was okay. Well, those days are long gone. The turbo uses a special PCV system that could cause problems. And then, last but not least, I wrote down oil pan plug, which means a simple, you take it to a shop and you say, change the oil and filter. I just bought this car and what have you. And then you change the oil and filter, and then you come back because the pan's leaking, and it's the plug that's leaking, because these are common issues too. So having said all of that, I have some additional information. Number one, it doesn't matter if it's a 06 Audi or a 16 Audi, you must have a local service provider, a third party, that not the selling party, perform a pre-purchase vehicle inspection, and that pre-purchase inspection, I can only speak for my shop, but regardless of where you live, that pre-purchase inspection is not anything they're going to take off the car. You're going to have a set of hopefully ASE certified technician, automotive service excellence. That's a credibility and accreditation. You're going to have an ASE certified tech to look at this particular automobile. And folks, this goes for everyone out there who's thinking about buying a used car. You always have a third party look at it, and you pay their fee, which is a nominal fee. I've saved a lot of people a lot of money and I've made a few dealers angry, but anymore, used cars are better these days than they ever have been, because new cars are better, ergo that when they get to be used, they're better. So you want a PPI, a pre-purchase vehicle inspection performed, regardless of what is said, and then you want to see all of the service records on this car, which is the medical history, right? You got your own medical.
Right.
I've got mine. So you go to a doctor, or you're referred to another doctor, but everyone is available. All of your records are available so that Doctor A, B, and C can be on the same page. So you want to have all the medical records or all the service records for this car, and then if that's not enough to consider, here's the main consideration and the main issue that I have with buying an 06 model car. It's 13 years old, and age is more detrimental to the condition of an automobile than mileage. Age.
Okay.
And so, and I'll give you an example. My car, although it's low mileage, my car is a 13. It has 65,000 miles on it, and it's as new as I speak. But I'm anal about the I own a shop, so I'm a car guy. I love cars, and I particularly enjoy driving my Jag. But if somebody said, well, should I buy a used Jag? Well, historically, the answer would be, well, yeah, if you got a mechanic to ride along with you in the car. That's not necessarily true today, but there are some instances and some historical records that I would provide anybody if I sold my car or if I traded it in. Now, having said all that, those are nice-looking cars, but a used Audi 06 would, and I'm not trying to influence you. I'm just telling you my experience.
No,
would
I
not
wanna hear it.
would not be a car that I would consider.
Okay.
There are other cars out there, so I hope your neighbor doesn't shoot me, but doesn't matter.
No, they don't know me.
Okay, but the bottom line is the things that we just discussed. Those are just little red flags that pop up and pop up. So you I hope you've made notes of this. If not, the show is recorded, so you can always go back. But the bottom line is you'll want to still consider the car, because if you like it and it's a decent purchase, but understand you buy it from an individual, you have zero recourse. You write that check, it's your car, baby, and everything that comes along with it. And we know that it's had issues because they already said, well, it's got coils, and the top word I had was coil, and that's the top first thing out of your mouth was coil. So you see where we're going there, and let's see what else. Brake rotors, brake pads, A-frame bushings, suspension and brakes, exhaust, not a problem. Air conditioning system. That car's a prime suspect for air conditioning needs, and especially I see you live in Florida, so you want to make sure ask about the air conditioner system. Have you had any problems with the air conditioning? Oh yeah, but we had it charged 6 months ago, and it was just low on Freon. Not Freon, on refrigerant. Freon's gone.
Right.
But those are the kind of things that every potential buyer of a used car should consider, because everything that I just mentioned on the Audi is not only relevant to Audis, it's relevant to many cars, but specifically it's relevant to Audis. So I'm really glad that you called today, because if I could influence you to if you still want the car, have it checked out with absolutely no. You're not relegated to buy anything, but you are relegated to have a third set of qualified eyes to look at that vehicle. And just for you to know, Liz, here's one really great thing. And folks, you're tuned in. When you take your vehicle, let's say you already own a car and you're going on a road trip, so you take it in to have the oil changed, and check it over for a road trip. Well, let me tell you what that means. You air the tires, look at the belts and hoses, change the oil and filter, put an air filter, a cabin filter. Oh, it's all ready for the road. That's the mentality of checking for a road trip. So those of you who are thinking about taking a road trip, like our partners, the Car Care Council, talks about, 3 Ps, plan, prepare, and prevent, then you have a PPI performed on the car you already own, because a technician will look at that car with a different set of eyes versus a road trip eyes. Got a hard brake list. Thanks for calling. I'll be back. In the service bay this week, a longtime customer's 2000 Ford Taurus. He'd been complaining about a humming noise at highway speeds and grinding when he stopped. With 55,000 miles on the odometer, the driver's had the vehicle since new and never had any work done. No brakes, no suspension. A thorough inspection revealed a number of potential problems: a failing left front wheel bearing, worn-out rear brake pads and rotors, and the beginnings of a leaking brake caliper. Our choice to solve these problems? Motorcraft. Brake systems and suspension repair represent serious work you want done right the first time. Choosing quality parts is critical to ensuring vehicle reliability and longevity. Motorcraft quality brake and suspension parts are engineered for Ford and Lincoln vehicles. From the hub to the rotor, calipers, brake pads, and wheel bearings, Motorcraft quality parts provide you with the stopping power and stability needed for your vehicle. Learn more about Motorcraft brake and suspension parts at motorcraft.com. That's motorcraft.com. Motorcraft, right part, priced right. We recently performed a major service on a 1996 F-150. The vehicle had just under 200,000 miles on it. In addition to fluids and filters, we changed the spark plugs and boots, performed a cooling system flush, and replaced the thermostat, hoses, and drive belts. After a few weeks, the owner noticed a small leak coming from the area where the transmission bolted onto the block. Using a pressure tester, we found that coolant was seeping from one of the freeze plugs at the rear of the engine. This repair would require several hours of labor and another few days or so in the shop. Given the truck's age and the fact it was just in the shop for service, we suggested K-Seal, a one-step permanent multi-purpose system for coolant leak repair that won't clog radiators or heater cores. K-Seal stops leaks and can also prevent future leaks. After driving the truck for a week, the owner called and let us know the leak had stopped. K-Seal is available at fine retailers everywhere, like Napa Auto Parts. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance. When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
I am happy that you tuned in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic today. And just remember, every Saturday from 10 to noon Eastern Time, we come to you on your local AM and or FM radio stations. And also we're live at watchbobbylive.com, which is a YouTube channel with our agreement with Google. And that really works well for us. There's a chat room. So if you're in the chat room, you have a question, Jonathan will be glad to take that question and put it on print and bring it into the studio to me. Hannah will take your calls. So we have Fabio, who's producing the program, does a great job. We have Jonathan, who does Jack of all trades and is a great supporter. He's in the chat room as well to help you and to better communicate and answer your questions there. And also we have Miss Hannah that you of course, is the first voice you hear when you call 888 Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part today by Omnicraft, backed by a limited warranty that includes limited labor cost and no commercial exceptions. You can choose Omnicraft parts for your non-Ford vehicle repairs, and you can learn more about Omnicraft at omnicraftautoparts.com and see your seller for limited warranty details. Again, the website to go to for OEM quality parts for non-Ford, parts from Ford, how cool is that, is omnicraftautoparts.com. So, I mentioned earlier, and I just got to share this with you because I'm the 2020 Corvette mid-engine. I mean, you think about mid-engine cars. You talk Ferrari, Lamborghini. I mean, all those high-end, very expensive automobiles. Well, a GM may just have a hit on their hands. I say may because the jury is out. We have to see what the production numbers are. We have to see what the car is like on the showroom floor, and then we have to wait, 90 to 60 days or 6 months to find out the quality of the build. I'm sure given, and it's a new car, it's a whole new car, so will there be glitches? Probably so. But I will share this with you. Today's vehicles and the technology of manufacturing today's vehicles, the old days you would never buy a new car, a new body the first year out, because give it a couple of years to make sure they get it right. That's really not the concern, because the technology that we have and that the new cars are manufactured under today is far superior to history. But here's what I want to share with you just quickly. So the new Corvette has an 8-speed dual clutch transmission. Well, what's a dual clutch transmission? A dual clutch transmission is a mechanical device like a regular transmission that has 2 manual transmissions made into one box. And so one of the transmissions is 1, 3, 5, 7. The other transmission gears are 2, 4, 6, and 8. So that when you're in first gear and the clutch that operates that odd number, 1, 3, 5, and 7, that clutch is engaged when you let out the clutch or you accelerate, and the car accelerates in first gear. Second gear is already engaged. Well, you can't have 2 gears engaged at the same time because the car would lock up and stop. So the second gear clutch is disengaged. So the cars are already in second gear, but you're moving in first gear. So all that's necessary for the car to shift is the first gear clutch release and the second gear clutch grab. And it's just that. In fact, I'll tell you how quickly. GM says less than 100 milliseconds. And the blink of an eye is 200 milliseconds. 0.2 of a second. Ford says their dual clutch, is 80 milliseconds. And so somewhere between 80 and 100, and it's a wet clutch, and I won't go into which is the best one. The dry clutches they are a little jerky, and they have idiosyncrasies, as all dual clutch transmissions do, but the best acceleration, the best mileage, the best performance of any automobile, of any transmission, period, is a dual clutch transmission, without exception. Without exception. But I want to give you just quickly, the rear gear ratio of the Corvette, the new 2020. The standard 2020 base Corvette has a 4.89. Normally a rear gear is like 275 or 325. The lower the number, the higher the gear, because the number is the number of turns the drive shaft must make and to get the wheels to turn one time. So in the Corvette, the drive shaft must turn, although it doesn't have a drive shaft, but it's the same thing. The pinion must turn 4.89 times before the wheels will turn once. So you got 8 speeds of transmission. First gear is a 290. So you would, and I won't go through all the gears, but a 290 first gear, you would say 2.9 times 4.89. and that would give you the overall gear ratio of how many RPM the engine must turn to turn the wheels one time. Think of a 10-speed bike, and then think of accelerating from a stop and your leg power. Well, if you're going up the hill, you're gonna put it in first gear, right? Well, that's how you launch a vehicle. And that's what transmissions do. They multiply the engine torque through gear ratios. Ironically, the third gear is still a gear ratio, but fourth gear is overdrive. And so fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth are all overdrives. So what this allows is that you put a very low gear ratio in the rear differential, and then you put a bunch of overdrives so that you have that launchability, that race power, and quick acceleration. And one more point, then I'm going to take Pat's call from New York. The Z51 2020 mid-engine Corvette doesn't have a 489 gear, 4.89. It has a 5.17. So it will launch even faster, harder, and quicker than the standard vehicle. So you say, well, I don't care, about that. I'll drive a GMC like Russell does, or a Ford Fusion like Bill does, who's in the queue, or a Mercury like Pat does from New York that we're going to put on the line. The bottom line is your vehicles all have first, second, third, fourth. They all have the same methodology and mechanical components that drive the vehicle. That's how you can move away from a traffic light and the car shifts. And remember this, to get the best gas mileage in any automobile, you want to be in the tallest gear, the highest gear, as quickly as possible. The problem there is there's a sweet spot, just like you're riding a bicycle. You can't go from first to 10th gear on the bicycle because your legs would say, oh, wait a minute, I can't turn the wheels. I can't turn the bike wheel, right? Same thing with an engine. Anyway, enough of that. Let's go to New York. Pat, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Well, thank you for being on the radio today, because I need your opinion on whether to invest more money into my 1994 Grand Marquis.
Okay.
We just had it diagnosed because the check engine light was coming on, and they said that they concluded the EGR ports in the intake and intake adapter are plugged with carbon.
Okay.
And that they would have to disassemble, scrape, drill, chisel, and all that for $1,000 to $1,500.
Okay.
Now, I know the car is only worth about $2,000, but there's sentimental value because my mother-in-law gave it to us, and in 2014, and it only had 52,000 miles on it.
Got it.
We now have 128,000. We go to Florida and we go to Michigan, and it's in beautiful condition otherwise.
Well, by all means, invest the money. And as you were thinking, I was putting myself in that position. And see, I have the advantage because every day I talk to folks that own cars like you, and my first question is, has this been a good car? And you've already stated that it really is a nice-looking car and what have you. And so here's Pat. Let me, just from a psychological standpoint and peace of mind, I'm really glad you called, because here's what you're going to do, and what I suggest that you do. If you trust the shop, which you must trust the shop, and they are straight with you, and you've dealt with them before, then by all means, the money that you spend, let's say the money wasn't $1,500 or $1,000, let's say it was $3,000, because now you're way over what the 94 is worth, but let's just say it was $3,000. You're in a position to where you have to make the decision to buy your own car back. So, and let me explain what that means, and I'll do it as briefly as possible, because this applies to a lot of cars that go into shops across the nation. When you have a car that it's a used car, we all have used cars, my car's a used car, you have a component that goes bad. You know that car, and you know that it has a particular issue, but you know the rest of the car is whole, because you've driven the car enough, and you know if it has how many rattles and clangs and leaks and brakes and steering, and you know the air conditioner, so you know the overall condition. Maybe not like a technician, but you enjoy the car and you trust the car, and over a time ironically the carbon built up, which is typical. So what you're going to do here is, and just put your mindset here, I'm going to invest this money and I'm going to buy my own used car back because I know my used car. Now let's shift gears. What if you say, I'm not going to spend this $3,000 on this used car, I'm going to go buy a used car. So you buy a used car for $3,000 and you know nothing about it, and you could spend very easily another $3,000 on that used car because it had problems that you didn't know about. So in essence, for less than $1,500, you're buying your own car back that you know, and it's going to be in a healthier condition than it was to start with. And I agree with that, and I think that's a good decision. You got it?
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Well,
that's what we'll do then.
Thank you, and please, when you get to the other side of the repair, and share this with the shop owner as well, and the technician, the service person that you're working with. Share your feelings and say, this is going to buy my car back. Just assure me that overall it's good, and you might want to add an annual inspection just to make sure that the rest of the car is looked over. And I'll be back, folks.
Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad you tuned in today. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Diablo Sport. If you drive a Ford product, a GM product, a Chrysler, or a Jeep, you can take the guesswork out of trying to pair performance products, tuners, with the Reaper Stage 1 kit from Diablo Sport. It's a performance combo that's designed to improve power and drivability and mileage potential as well. Take a quick tour at diablosport.com for more information, and you'll be glad you did. In the meantime, we'll take a call from Texas. Russell, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house. You got a 2014 GMC. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got a 2014 GMC Sierra, and the blower fan drives me nuts. You know, we got 100-degree weather out here all the time, and at 100 degrees, you come out and get in the car and you turn the blower on, you turn it to full cold, and it runs like half speed. On another day, maybe it's 70, 75 degrees, you turn the fan on, it'll blow like a bloody tornado. Drives me nuts.
Well, you know, funny thing you should mention that, Russell, because for the last 2 or 3, and I too live in the tropics like you. You're in Texas, well, I'm in Florida. It's hot.
I know,
and
I used to live down there.
Well, it's hot and muggy, and on my car, there's automatic, you know, when you go to, 80, 70, 60, 50, and it goes down to 59, then after 59, and it's a dual stage, so the right side and left side can be independently set. But when I put the driver's side on low, and the little icon comes up and says low, then that means the rest of the controls are taken over and the whole car goes into low. And yet on low blow, my car doesn't blow on max. And so I'll put it on low, and then I'll push the button on because it's got a center button and a right and a left button. I'll push it on low, and it still doesn't blow low. And when it does go to low, it goes on recirculation, which you've got to be on recirc because that's the only way you can really cool a vehicle like you drive and like I drive. And yet I have the same issue. I think it's I don't know why the manufacturers do that, but here's what I do to override mine. And I'm as aggravated as you. So it's not a problem with your vehicle. It's just the way the manufacturers have designed it, and don't ask me why because it makes no sense. So what I do is I put my vehicle on low, and then I take the fan button and spin it all the way up to the right, and I make sure that when it's on low that it's on recirculation, because at times when I put it on low and then push the button, which makes the icon come on, it'll come off of low and go to 59. Well, I don't want it on 59. I want it on low, which is a tick under or the coldest setting. But so I understand where you're coming from. I don't have the answers to that. There may be, and Russell, here's what I'd recommend. There may be and GM has this, all manufacturers do. There may be an update software that addresses that issue. And so what I would do if I were you is I would check with your local GMC dealer, and just, don't go there on a Monday morning at 9 o'clock. They're busy. Wait till 10:30 or 11 o'clock and just drive by, park your car outside, your truck outside, and walk in and talk to a service desk and say, I need some advice here. And then also there's another one more idea that I have before I let you go. Alldata.com. You've heard me if you listen to the program. I've used AllData for years. I mean years. In fact, I was with AllData when Rod Giorgio founded the company, and now it's changed ownership several times. But he was the original founder, Rod Giorgio, of that company, AllData. You go to alldata.com and you look under the consumer side and look for recalls or TSBs and see if there's a TSB that addresses your AC concern, because you can specifically, and if you can't find anything there, you can go to a local service shop that is a subscriber to All Data, and they can look for TSBs, or, as I said to start with, you drop by a dealer and say, would you look in your database and see if there are any program updates for my air conditioned system, and they'll look under and they'll look under your VIN, and they'll be able to tell you, because the problem that you're having, I'm having, we're not alone in this. There's nothing wrong with our cars. It's just the software is ambiguous at best. So I'm with you. I don't have the answer, except that I am, in the coming couple of weeks, taking my car that's out of warranty to the Jag dealer because it has sticky buttons, and I've talked with JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, and corporate in New Jersey, and not because of who I am, but because I bought a Jaguar, and they are going to assist me in exchanging every button in the car, which includes radio, cruise control, power windows, air conditioner, even the console sliding cover. All those things they coated to make it tactile and to make it feel good. And the coating in the hot weather and the humidity of Florida melts it and it turns sticky. And sticky buttons are terrible. It's like goo on the button. So I'm with you. Anyway, I'm glad you called.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I used to live just south of Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, there you go. Hey, let me know after you talk to the dealer or whomever. Let me know what if there's an issue or a TSB relevant to your air conditioner control. And just for grins, ask the dealer to hook your car up, because what they'll do is, and we do this often. And especially with Lexus, because Lexus is because we bought all the software, so we have all the same software that Lexus dealers have. And when a Lexus comes in for an oil change, we check to see if there's an update on the vehicle, and lo and behold, we connect the VIN, that car, directly to the mainframe of Lexus, of Toyota, and it says, oh, on this car, so there is an update, and we've updated injection or engine control systems for a car that came in for windshield wipers, and the car runs better. So anyway, I'm glad you called.
I'm familiar with all that.
Yeah. All right. Take care. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
So who's next? Let's go to Texas again. Bill. Bill, you're next. You've been in the queue for over 20 minutes. Thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, sir. I have a 2012 Ford Fusion Hybrid.
Okay.
And as of recent, I've noticed the fuel economy has dropped off some. And I first thought it was an air filter. And I've never serviced the car or done anything to it myself. I've always taken it to the dealer.
Yes, sir.
And it's got about 109,000 on it now.
Okay.
And I did a little research, and it says it has a forever air filter. And I couldn't figure out what in the world they meant by that. And a little bit of my background is I'm an aircraft mechanic. And I know back in my Army days, the helicopters had what they call air particle separators.
Right.
And I don't know whether this is what this is or not. I can't find any information about it, and it's a pretty expensive filter. Apparently, you can buy them. It's about like $230 or $50, something like that.
Well, have you looked at it yet?
It's down under the battery, and I have not taken it out. It's kind of involved.
Well, here's what I would do. What I would do is I'd do some research, a little more research. I look for any TSBs. I mentioned that. You know what I'm going to do, Bill? There has to be, but because that's such an expensive air filter, perhaps it is serviceable. You know, like some of the free flow air filters, like K&N and some of those other products. You know, they're a million-mile filter, and I have a couple of them in my car. It's got 2 intakes, and I've got 2 K&N filters. And so I clean those, and I did clean those at 50,000. Believe it or not, that's what it said do, and I took them out, and I'm glad I did, because sure enough, they were dirty. And I put them in early on when the car had like 5,000 miles for better performance. And so I would think that your $200+ air filter separator, just like in your helicopter days and your aircraft mechanic, you didn't throw it away if it had that type of filter, particle separator. There had to be a reservoir that kept the particles. At least I would think so.
They just ejected them out the side.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. So it wasn't the same design. Well, no. I don't know the answer to your question. So here's what I'm going to do. Jonathan, and Jonathan's working the board now. This is good. I want to put Bill back on hold. And Bill, I want you to give Hannah your email address and your phone number. And then I will research and get back to you this week, or you can tune in next week and I'll answer your question on air. But regardless, let's stay in touch, because I'm sure there are other folks out there with Ford Fusions that are going to find the same problem.
I got one more quick one, if I can.
Please, quickly.
Okay, the big battery in the back. I've been told not to mess with it. I can't change it. And I talked to the dealer, and they said they've never done one. Is that a big deal or not?
It is if you don't. For the first time around, it's going to be a big deal. So I would say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You should not have any problems. Those batteries are good for, 200,000 miles.
Okay.
I used to worry about that years ago. Don't worry about that battery. When it starts to give problems, there will be warnings on the dash, and that's when you want to worry about it. In the meantime, enjoy that vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks for your call, Bill. Where are you from in Texas?
I'm in the Tyler area.
Well, great to hear from you, as always, all the folks out there. And stay cool, man.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Now let's go from Texas to New York, and I see that Frank is in the queue from California. But Guy, welcome from New York to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Likis.
Bobby.
Bobby, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I got a 2019 F-350 that I bought brand new in December of last year, and I only use it for plowing and pulling trailers and things like that. So so I bought it in December. I only got like 2,200 miles on it.
Wow.
But it's only getting 7.6 to 8.9 miles to the gallon. And I'm wondering if I know I hear you talk about Diablo, there's other things that you talk about. Is there something I can do? Or maybe it's just lack of miles on it.
Absolutely. I will tell you, if I had an F-350, I just installed a Super Chips kit, and I call him a customer, but he is a customer, but he's a friend. Actually, he was the partner of my best friend for years, who passed recently, and I met him through my best friend. And he has this Ford, big white Ford four-door truck and what have you, and he goes to the hunting camp every week, and he got 16.2 miles per gallon, and I put an here's the number, it's a Super Chips tuner, it's an F5, and I installed that installed it as a plug and play. I mean, it was a no-brainer. It's just, you plug it in and you go through the steps, and in 6 minutes you're done. Not only is the vehicle really faster, which is what we wanted, but it went from 16.2 to 18.2 miles per gallon. It picks up 2 miles per gallon, and it did it that very same weekend. So he goes to the hunting camp every other week or every week, and so there was no question that he kept records. And he, Guy, is an aggressive driver, and just blew. Now, in addition, I don't have time to tell you about the rest of it, but I just will say that I put a throttle amp on it, which you don't need to do, but that really is a fun thing that you can add to it. Go to superchips.com and check out the F5 kit for your F-350, and you'll be glad you did. I highly recommend it. I have no reservations about recommending it, because if I owned your vehicle, I'd have one in mind.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for your call. I see that Frank from California is on. Let's put Frank on the line from California. And Frank, we are limited in time, so welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, Frank in California.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi, sir.
Real
Quickly. Okay.
I hear you talking about the chips.
Yes.
Super Chip.
Yes, sir.
Bully. Being in California, I was wondering if I put one of these on my I have a 2008 Ranger with the 4.0.
Mm-hmm.
If I put one on my Ranger, will that going to mess with my smog or not?
It will not, because those chips have to meet mandated emissions for the states, not the same emissions regulations that the OEM has, but they certainly will not affect your passing emissions, because they only kick in at a wide open throttle and other heavy load situations of which it doesn't apply. But to be sure, Frank, go to superchips.com and then see what their disclaimers are and see what they state online, because that will give you the information relevant to California, to be sure, before you spend your money. Hey, thanks for your call.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you. And as I said, call earlier next week. So remember, if you're like Gary in Mississippi or David in California, make sure if you have a Ford, you use Ford parts for your repair and or maintenance needs. And folks, FordParts.com features high-quality parts images, line art, diagrams, detailed product descriptions, and part numbers, the whole 9 yards. Take a quick tour at FordParts.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love
This
us.
is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is a leader in automotive thermostats, caps, and engine management products. Motorrad's manufacturing facilities feature state-of-the-art equipment with strict quality control and functional testing, ensuring high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development for its advanced thermal and engine management programs, providing parts, accessories, and kits needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad provides parts for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service.
O'Reilly.
This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street, and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grown, now you're here. Your aroma